Today's meeting, I will actually discuss with you how you will construct this essay, and then I will show you the sample essay that's been shared with you through Blackboard. And in this sample essay, I will discuss with you how the author has created his work and what not to do when doing this assignment. So what are the features of a classical argument? Just like any other essay you would write, your essay will be divided into three parts: the introduction, the body, and then the conclusion. Okay. Now let's discuss the introduction first. And the introduction provide the background information. I know that in the past you've probably been told that start with a question, start with a quote, and all that is okay. But are you just trying to get an okay essay, or are you trying to give me a good, strong essay? If you are focused on writing a good, strong essay, then do these steps. What are these steps? Provide background information. Why background information? Because you are trying to cover any gaps in the information that you are trying to provide and that your audience currently have. So even if you think your audience might already know this information, quickly give a background information before you start building your argument, okay? Like it says over here, introduction states how things currently stand. It defines the key terms. Definition. Providing a definition is another key way to open your essay. Open with some background, then provide key definitions or definition to any terms that you think your audience might be confused about, okay? So you don't want to create any gaps or any confusion, so put in your definitions, okay? Draw attention to the specifically important points and state the exigency. Your exigency, again, it will be right either in your thesis statement or right before the thesis statement. Proposition, this is where you introduce your position. You talk about your thesis and what your paper is going to be about. So basically you draw a small roadmap for your paper, okay? So introduction is very important, and how you introduce your topic will hook your audience. And like we discussed last time, how do we hook our audience? By showing them that this subject matter that I'm discussing relates to you and you to care about it. And why do I have to care about it? Just because you're telling me? No, because you're going to state the facts that if those facts are not taken care of, they will be devastating, or whatever the exigency is, you bring that forth. Body is where you provide proof of confirmation, refutation, and concession. Break down your points. Each paragraph should have its own topic sentence, and you're trying to prove that point within that paragraph by providing evidence from your sources. Now, we did discuss refutation and concession in our previous meeting. It's up to you how you approach it. Some students like to briefly bring it every now and then within their paper. Some try to keep it just one entire paragraph. Conclusion will summarize your most important points and emphasizes emotional connections with your audience. Again, bring the point back to them. Don't let them lose the point, the idea that you were trying to bring across. Whole idea of this paper was whatever your main point is and how it relates to your audience. Okay. Now I'm going to share with you the sample essay. This is a sample essay by my student from last semester, and I have his permission to share this with you. I did share with you last meeting that last semester, 5 of the scholarships that were given out, 4 of those 5 scholarships were won by my students. And this was the essay that received the first scholarship, which was a $3,000 scholarship. Okay, so let's take a look at this essay. First of all, add a running header and a page number. Add your title block, and it will always be placed this way. Your first and last name, your professor's last name, followed by the word professor, your course name, number, and section, the date written in this format. Notice that nothing is underlined or bolded or different font size. I'm referring mainly to the title of the essay. So everything will be written in the same font size.
The United States is the world's last remaining superpower in the 21st century. Its influence can be seen economically, culturally, and most of all, militarily. With large investments in the defense budget, the United States military is unrivaled. An extravagant amount of money is spent in the name of technological advancements, national security, and the war on terror.
So you notice how the author first gave us some background before jumping straight into the exigency. He did bring in the exigency or slightly mentioned what the problem is.
An extravagant amount of money is spent in the name of technological advancements, national security, and the war on terror.
Okay, so this is an example of a good opening where you open with a background. Actually, the problem is discussed here in this statement. What is the issue? Why is the author trying to discuss this matter?
Now that this level of spending is quickly becoming the norm, ever-increasing budget proposals are going unquestioned. The passing of these budget proposals has become so popular that it gains support from both opposing political parties in the United States Senate without anyone batting an eye.
Okay, now what about it? Okay, you've told me there's an issue. What do I do about it? Here's the action.
One must stop and question if that money is better spent on the working class rather than an out-of-control military-industrial complex.
And then here is the thesis statement. So they discussed the problem here. We started with the background, discussed the problem, then discussed the action, and now the thesis. One thing that's not in this paragraph is any definition. I did not see any definition. I definitely like my students to provide definitions for any terms that you think might be confusing for your audience, because the whole purpose of writing is getting your point through as clearly as possible. Okay, so now let's listen to the thesis statement.
Although a healthy military provides its citizens with a sense of security, the United States allocates an excessive amount of money to national defense rather than the needs of middle-class citizens' health care.
Okay, so now we know which route this paper is going to take, and we have an idea of what this essay is going to discuss. That's better. I want you to be able to read these comments. Okay, so next, let's look first body paragraph, and each paragraph in your essay will start with a topic sentence, a sentence that lets the audience know what the paragraph is going to be about.
The issue of a bloated military directly affects the quality of life in the United States.
Okay, this tells us what this paragraph is going to discuss. Now I'm going to talk to you about what not to do when you're doing your paper. First, let us look at this sample essay. We're looking at attribution tags, okay? And we see that the author has given an attribution tag saying, experts from the Commonwealth Funds, Rosa Ticketon and Melinda K. Abrams found that, and then the quotation, okay? And we discussed this, that how, before we use a quote, we throw in a signal phrase or a attribution tag. Now here I have given an example of what not to do, and it says, do not say Ticketon and Abrams from the Commonwealth. A lot of students do this, from the. Okay, I get it that they are associated with that organization, but what do they do at that organization? What is their role there? They could be just someone working in the cafeteria and you're just using their name. No, I need to know more about what they do at that institution. Now, even in the sample assignment, there's not too much details, but at least it's already said experts from the organization. Okay, so this is a common error that I do mark down if you have it on your paper. Now let's look at the punctuation. How did the author punctuate the end of his quote? So quotation marks and the period goes inside. Now you're probably thinking, really, Professor Kaur, we're in college and now we're going to discuss where the periods go? Yes, because trust me, even after this meeting, I'm still going to get papers that I'm not going to do it correctly, and it does matter. Okay, like I said, you are doing your paper in APA or MLA, this rule is the same, and both styles require you to follow the proper format. So let's see here's the example of what I mostly get. Students will close their quotes and place the period on the outside of the quotation marks. No, the period will go inside, not just the period. Even if you're using a comma, go inside the quotes. Okay? In this previous example, there is no parenthetical citation, and don't think this is an error. The reason the author did not put a parenthetical citation there is because his quote ends there, but he connected the two quotations, okay? And then he puts the parenthetical citation over here. Now, in these examples, I'm sharing with you where the punctuation goes if you actually have a parenthetical citation. This example, of course, has done it correctly. Remember here, the period was inside the quotation marks. Here you have the quotation and quotation marks, your parenthetical citation, and then the period after the citation. These are the common errors students do. They will either place the period before the parentheses, or they will take the end quotation marks to the back and put it there. Either one of these categories are not correct. The correct way to do is how the sample essay has done. Here in this paragraph is how our student used refutation. So let's listen to this.
It is clear there has been an incredible growth in spending post 9/11 in the United States. At the same time, healthcare spending has increased from $2.1917 trillion in 2010 to $3.0755 trillion in 2018. Personal healthcare expenditures. This may be perceived as beneficial, but one must take into consideration the out-of-pocket healthcare expenses. In 2010, out-of-pocket healthcare expenses came out to $300.2 billion.
Notice how the author first brings us a point and it feels like, okay, it's saying that they are spending a lot, but then he refutes it. That although upfront it looks like it's beneficial and it's a lot of money, but it's still very expensive because a lot of money is coming out of pocket from the patients. Okay, so that's refutation. Avoid first and second person speech absolutely at all times. No, I believe so, in my opinion. We, you, never a you. That's a second person. Don't do you or first person. Always write in third person, because academic writing and writing for this course has to be done in third person. Make sure you refer to the visual or to the figure. So over here, he says, as shown below in figure 1. It is important. These are little things, but they all matter. Next is credit the source you gathered the data from. Most of the time, students, they did this error even with the graphics creation assignment, because they had the citation right here, the source citation, and the table was there. Believe I created the visual. Maybe I don't need to credit the source if I discuss the data within my paper. No, the data is still not your individual creation, right? You borrowed the data from that source, so you will give credit to the particular source. You just have to throw in a proper parenthetical citation, and that will suffice. For this essay, you're allowed to use only one visual. Do not use more than one. I should be about roughly about a half a page. Cite when you paraphrase or summarize. Every time something that is not your creation, you are borrowing an idea, whether you're summarizing it or paraphrasing it. If you're borrowing it from a source, you have to credit that source. Here you see this, the author has paraphrased, and he's given credit by putting a parenthetical citation at the end. Unless you have the original page number from the original text, you will not provide a page number, and you do not have to do no page or NP or nothing. Just leave it. It's understood. If you did not provide a page number, it was not there. okay? Unless you don't provide one here, but when I scroll down to your works cited, it is there, then yeah, why didn't you put it up here? So if it's not here, not there, it's understood. It's an online source. It didn't have page numbers, so do not make up a page number, okay? Here's another little sample of repetition. So
increasing military spending stimulates the economy. It raises the tension between known enemies on the globe. In the journey towards peace, the United States must invest tax dollars at home in healthcare rather than manufacturing weapons of war.
This is another short example of repetition. You can do it this way, or you can finish developing your whole argument and then write one paragraph before the concluding paragraph. Unfortunately, even after I've stressed so much about repetition and concession, there's been two conflicting scenarios I came across. One, the students still did not have anything showing counter argument in their annotated bibliographies, and there is no mention of any source with counter argument. On the other side, I'm afraid that some of the students are putting too much emphasis on just refutation and concession. No, this is just supposed to be a small part of your large essay. An argument does not take place in vacuum. Okay, something has to give birth to the argument, some situation, some circumstances. That circumstances is what gives birth to the argument. You show that you are an educated arguer if you discuss what the opposition has to say about the topic. So what happens is students, they just try to throw in a quote. For example, here it says, Dr. Henson warns that global warming will lead to higher sea levels and flooding. Seems like something very informative, but is it? We all know that already. Whether we believe it or not is a whole separate issue. But we've heard about this. Global warming is going on, and because of all the melting of the glaciers, we can have rising sea levels, and flooding will be led by all that. So it becomes common knowledge. It becomes something that everybody knows. Now, why are you trying to tell me something everybody already knows? First of all, okay, it gets boring. Second, you are citing a source. I am sure Dr. Henson had shared much more informative information in the article if you dug a little deeper. Okay, so don't just grab the most common knowledge thing. Even if Dr. Henson is saying it, if it's common knowledge, you don't need to cite it. Common knowledge does not need to be cited. What is common knowledge? How do I decide? Common knowledge is something most people know. Now, if you don't know whether others know it or not, do some research, look it up. Every other source or almost every source saying the same thing. So it must be a common thing. Still, if you feel like this information, I've never heard about it, go ahead and be safe and cite your source. Okay, it's safer to be safe. Sorry, it's better to be safe than sorry. But common knowledge, if you cite it once, it's okay. But if your whole paper is based on this, that paper is not going to lead to a very strong grade. Okay, so what do we do instead? Here's a better example. It says Rebecca Lindsay, senior science writer and managing editor of climate.gov, states in her article that in some ocean basins, sea level rise has been as much as 6 to 8 inches since the start of the satellite record in 1993. Did you all know this? No. Even if someone did, maybe a couple of you did, maybe I read about it, know about it, but this is not common knowledge. Okay. Another thing is anytime using numbers, okay, like in this case, it's giving us a measurement in inches and a year when the recording of the data started. This information cannot be common knowledge. This has to be information specifically related to the scientist who did the study. Because they haven't cited someone, it means it is their information. In this case, this statement is by Rebecca Lindsay and not another source. Just don't base your paper in commonplace information, common knowledge factors. Go and look at the definitions of what is an A paper, what is a B paper, and what is a C paper. This information is posted on the course homepage. Okay, So look at that. And that's what I refer to even when I grade your papers and I return them to you. I'm like, okay, look at your paper. Now go look at the definition. You will notice that it does fall into that category, whether it's A, B, or a C, or D paper. Spell out numbers lower than 10. If your quote is using a number lower than 10, but it is not written, spelled out, that's fine. Don't try to change that, okay? Credit the original source every time you use numeric findings. I kind of strong way to support your argument is to support it with data, okay? Or show data proving or explaining the point you are trying to make, okay? But anytime you use data, you have to credit it, unless you did the survey. If you go out there and you do your own survey, which is not required, and do not do that for this assignment. No, this is not about a field survey or anything. No, it is about research. It is about how you find research material and how you incorporate that research into your work, okay? So unless you did the original findings, the data collection, you have to credit your source. Try not to use sources in any given order. Most of the time, the common practice is students will use one source, have a whole paragraph supported and documented and everything, parentheses and everything's there. Then that source is forgotten. Then the next source, next paragraph, next source, another paragraph. Never do these sources interact with each other, okay? Now that's not a sign of an A paper, okay? What is a sign of an A paper then? Basically, you're going to synthesize these sources. What does that mean, synthesize? It's kind of like having your sources have a conversation with each other. How does that work? That works like if source A said something, and I have, of course, number of sources, and source D also said what source A said. So now I will discuss what source A said, make my observations, provide my reflection regarding that source, and then I will say this other source also supports what the previous source says. Or if they conflict, well, it's better to look at these questions. That will help you understand more. It says, do any authors disagree with another author? Okay, it would be great to bring that up in your paper. If you think source A and source B are in disagreement, first make sure you understand what the disagreement is, and you're not going to end up hurting your own paper by showing disagreement and seeming like you are creating a conflict or you are disagreeing with your own claims, okay? Then does one author extend the research of another author? Look for this, okay? Source A said something, source B said something similar, but even provided more information. Now share that, okay? And in no specific order, and I will quickly show you how this author has used sources. Are the authors all in agreement? Again, you don't have to show all the sources, but you can discuss source A or source C and source X, whatever, and show how the authors are agreeing. What happens if you do that? What happens is I or your reader now wants to trust you more than just saying, okay, Rebecca Tillman said this, but Rebecca Tillman was never supported by anyone else, or Tillman's work was just forgotten after paragraph 1. And now let me show you. Let's go back to page 1. And let's see. Our first parenthetical citation is Ticketon and Abrams. Now let's see if Ticketon and Abrams have been forgotten after this paragraph, or if someone else has been added too. Now within the same paragraph, we see this other source, personal health care and expenditure, and then that same source is used again. Okay, that's good. Oh, I see Ticketon again, but it's still the same paragraph. That's why I see a third citation right there. Notice they're not all quotations, quote after quote after quote. No, you are going to end up with my comment saying, why don't I just read your sources? Because if you're just going to give me quotations, I don't get your understanding. Did you understand the sources? Did you understand what the source was trying to do? When you interpret what you read, that's what I'm interested in. When you interpret or when you add your own knowledge to explain why you're bringing these sources into your paper, okay, that's what I want to see. So Ticketon in this paragraph was the first source. Then we've already noticed that 2 other sources have been introduced, but that's still the same paragraph. Let's go to the next paragraph now. I see another source. This paragraph is related to the visual. Let's go down. We have more sources, national defense budget, and we keep going. We keep, oh, Ticketon's back. And Ticketon's got more information to share. And now how these relate? You have the sample essay on Blackboard. Look at it, read the paper, and notice how everything is very plain, simple, standard English, okay? No jargons, no effort to make things complicated. No, that's not your role. A writer has to make things simple for the readers. Be clear as you possibly can. You get the idea that the sources should have a back and forth conversation. Okay, no specific order. The other order students usually do is the works cited list. If the first source there will be the first source in the essay, the second and the second. No certain sequence or no certain format. Okay. Next is do not add the URL to the parenthetical citation. Points are deducted if you do that. If you are citing a source with a URL. Now that brings me back to, I just shared a sample with you, and over there it did bring in the URL, but this is not really the URL. This is what the site was called. But notice how I did not use that site in my parenthetical citation. I did not cite by climate.gov. I provided enough information. I told you who my author is, what her role is, and what site she's with. But then I also gave you the title of the particular article where this information came from. So do not cite your sources with the URL. So language or tone matters a lot. Sometimes students try to kind of ridicule the other source. No. Does that make you a strong writer? No. The whole goal is, what am I presenting myself as? Am I presenting myself as a strong, educated, individual writer or not? So that's what you'll do. You will use polite yet very firm arguments to support your claims. You saw this, a source like Ticketon was used multiple times. Other sources have been used multiple times here as well. Now, do you add a attribution tag every time you use a quotation or a paraphrase or a summary? No. Specifically for quotations, if you have already given your source an attribution tag, you don't have to keep repeating it. You can give a shorter signal phrase saying, Dr. White states so and so. You don't have to go into the length of the whole full-fledged attribution tag. Just give it a short mention. Why do I mention if I've already given it a tag before? The reason is it's very important to differentiate or show that this particular work is now from the other author, not my work, okay? So the first time you use a source, you will give it a full-fledged attribution tag showing who the author is, what their credentials are, or what organization are they affiliated with, and what particular piece are you discussing, and then the parenthetical citation. After the first time, it's okay to give it a short signal phrase and then parenthetical citation. So right here is what I'm talking about, the sandwich. So you have your attribution tag, you have your cited material, whether it's a quote summary or a quotation, and then you close it with a parenthetical citation. So every time source material is being used, it will be between your attribution tag and a parenthetical citation. Whether you're using the source first time or you're using it multiple times, it can change how heavy or how informative, how much information is provided in the tag. Okay. Always tell the truth. Do not try to change the facts just to fit your argument. What the students sometimes do, they collect this quotation, that quotation, another quotation, or paraphrase, and now they try to develop a argument around those quotations and around those paraphrases. Not the best technique, okay? Have your argument and use your sources to support that argument, not the other way around. Limit the length of your paragraphs to less than a page, okay? What does that mean? Now, let's see. This paragraph started here. It's not a short paragraph, and don't give me these little tiny paragraphs. Let's say this is your paragraph and you're done. You're applying for a college level, your university. So your paper should look like it really means that you are in university and you are giving information that's for that level, okay? So don't give me very short paragraphs, but also don't give me too lengthy paragraphs. Because what happens is when the paragraph is too long, your reader will lose interest. Okay, you're dragging the topic too much now. Wordiness is a sin. If you don't have information, you haven't met the length Professor Kaur asked for, do some more research. Get permission from me. Can I add another source? Because I have used my 7 sources, but I'm still short. My first recommendation would be read those sources again. I'm pretty sure there's more information you can draw from the sources you already have. Then based on whether you get permission or not, you might want to even add an 8th source, but don't drag the issue. Don't make it just wordy so that you can meet the length. The definition or the way to use an abbreviation is to spell out the term first and then use the shortened form of that term that you are abbreviating. And this is the right way to do it, like quantitative literacy and then in parentheses QL. And now in my second sentence, I can just say QL because I made it clear up there. What is avoid block quotes? Okay, what my students sometimes do, and let me tell you, these papers don't impress, okay? They will take a huge chunk from their source and put it in their paper, sometimes more than just one. Unless the information is so unique that if you change a word or two, or if you change or try to paraphrase it or summarize the information, you're going to lose the essence of that information. No, do not use block quotes. Instead, actually show skills of paraphrasing or summarizing. This is only and only specifically for my course. There might be some courses that require this kind of writing. That's entirely different. This course, my essays that you write for me, I say avoid block quotes. They don't look intelligent. Avoid unnecessary questions. A lot of students have been taught in high school, open with the question, and it's good. It's okay. It's not absolutely a no, okay? But it depends on the question too. Sometimes the question is strong and genuine and it grabs my attention. Okay, but what if I came to this session and I said, hey, do you know what we are doing today? Do you know what's the importance of this subject matter? Or some other question. Doesn't that sound like silly? Or you're like, okay, she's probably going to end up and give me an answer. But now what? I've been wordy already. So instead, if I just came up here and I said, hey guys, today we are discussing how to write a classical argument, and then I'm going to go over some points that I want to share from the sample essay that are done well, and some points that I don't want you to do on your papers. Now, what's the difference? The first me with the questions, do you know what we're doing today? And the second me telling you what we're doing today. Obviously, clearly, the second me looks more informative, okay? And has your attention from the right get-go instead of, okay, she's going to get there, all right? So that's the difference. That's why I say avoid unnecessary question. The word is unnecessary. This is only specifically for my courses. I'm not talking about any other course you're taking, okay? Now, do not use APA and MLA format. What happens is students, they will format their paper like this with a running header And title block in this itself tells me, okay, you are using MLA style. Okay, but when it comes to citations or parenthetical citations, they will have the author's last name, comma, and the year of publication. No, you were doing MLA. MLA does not require you to provide the year of publication. You can provide page numbers if you have them. In the reverse, if you are doing APA style and you had your title page and everything, then you will provide this information. Okay. APA list of sources is called references. MLA sources are called works cited. So make sure you differentiate and make sure you understand what format you're going to use and stick with it. Okay. Submit your work as a Microsoft Word document and only as a Word document, because just like you see how I have annotated this particular essay, this is how you're going to get your feedback on your paper. So if it's not Word, I'm not able to do that. And if I'm not able to do that, points are deducted. In fact, my policy is if I'm not able to open a document, you will receive a 0 on that particular document. Okay. So be careful. I do not want PDF files. Any fluff, any repeated ideas, any jargons. Be clear and simple. Do not try to be fancy and impressed with cool sounding words. You do not want to create hindrance. Okay. Read or watch the lecture notes. These are the 3 lecture notes that relate directly to what was discussed today. If you haven't taken a look at it already, this is your student handbook this year. Okay, here, look at this. This is the sample paper. And I'm trying to show you the title block. It is my student. It's a proud moment for me. And for you guys, this is another sample you can use to read. If you don't want to format your paper the way the other student has done. In the videos, the font size, it says use Times New Romans. And in the assignment, it says use Arial. The videos are older. The newer rule, because of accessibility, is to use Arial, okay? So there's no point in deduction. You use Times New Romans or Arial, but make it a habit to read the announcements. And thank you so much. I did